I love the lamp in the background. I'm alive. There you go. Well, hello, Crime Stoppers. What an enjoyable week this has been. Um, seriously, a couple of things. So, you don't know what comes next. We've been telling you what comes next for like 20 years. So you're being silly. Go back and watch. Oh, I don't know, Andy Scheckman, Big Sweer, Peter Schiff, name them. All the GATA guys, many of whom are dead already. Took so long. But I mean, we know what comes next. Failure to deliver comes next. That's what comes next. They don't have 6 years of mine supply lying around, oddly enough. And they don't have the silver. They just don't have it. We all know they don't have it. We know they know we know that they don't have it. They know we know they know that we know that they know we don't that they don't have it. They don't have it. They don't have the silver. Okay, so somebody pointed out that you cannot be overbought when you're short. Impossible. Okay, so this right here, not intended to treat, diagnose. Bro, I'm gonna take this thing, whole thing, 24 of them. Let's see here. Usually I shave first. Let's go with, oh, I'll do it. In between the shoulder blades. Oh, yeah. Direct hit on the spine. And then into the brain. And that would be 28 because it's, that's the pre-step one. That's for the guys that are like, if you're a heavy smoker, you would do the 28. Previous to this, I was doing the 21. And with good effect. Pain relief is one thing that I can attest to. Muscle recovery, my boys talk about that also. And then as I've read, there are studies where they absolutely have shown that, yeah, just 1/4 of the patch that I just showed you relieve symptoms. Anyway, silver. First off, what kind of investors you? It went down 6%. Did they even get it below? Okay, this is the silver market. The silver market has always been volatile. It is a volatile market. And 25% swing, you should expect 25% swing, 20 to 25%. Today went down 6%. Woohoo! So what? 6%. They never even push them down below 50. It went down like $3. They got it down to 49 and something, and it recovered. So this is not the correction. The correction will be 20, 25%. And we got a ways to go before we get to that correction. But it's the silver market. What kind of, like, everybody's like, oh no, it's time to sell. The market, it's over. Oh, it was down on Friday. Like they always do. What are they trying to do? They're trying to make sure that it doesn't like just creep up to 60 and then right. So if you see all the different push downs that they've done and then the market has to recover and push down and recover, if we wouldn't have had those push downs, we'd already be at like 60. Think about it. And the market has recovered from each one of those. Look at the charts. It has every time you can see clearly where they have stepped on the price, and it just comes right back. And then everybody's saying, "Oh no, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What happens? What comes next? We don't know what happens. We're in uncharted territory." We have been telling you. Many people have been telling you. Many people. Oh, it's so far away. It's a coffee table. Oh. Okay. There you go. Many people have been telling you what's going to happen next for like decades. And so what happens next is failure to deliver. And then let's talk about XRP. So XRP, it's in going down the toilet like all the other cryptos because there's a crypto flush going on right now. But XRP, it looks like really there is still going to be a need for cross-border payments. And it looks like they're going to use XRP just to go across borders. We'll see. If they do, that's going to be a home run. If they don't, could go to zero. $3 a share. What do you I'd say? If you got one, it was $3. If you bought millions, well, could go to zero. That's not a 0% chance. The chance is greater than zero that it could go to zero. However, there is also a moonshot chance and a chance that Jim Willie and a couple of these other guys are correct that it will start taking off here soon as the exchanges need to. Trillions of dollars are going to be funneled into things like XRP, from my understanding of how the situation works. Therefore, the price of XRP must rise for it to be of utility. Simple as that. Okay. Now, here's the thing with silver. I'll put this closer. This book right here, which is the playbook, it tells you at the end things get revealed, and many of the lies will be made plain. And this is what's happening in the silver market, because the silver market is doing what it's doing. One thing, Bix talks about it consistently, but other people, you'd never know that it was like 100% fraud. It's 100% fraud. The market is utterly and completely rigged. We all know it. They've been getting away with it. There's no regulation. Or the regulators look the other way, or they participate, worse. And finally, and it wasn't 600 million guns in America, it was Chinese. It was the freaking Chinese. It hurts my feelings that this is how it turns out. But anyway, this is how it's going to turn out. They are going to force the LBMA to admit that they don't have the metal. It looks that way to me. I don't know where they're going to get all that silver. Is the COMEX really going to just ship 88% of their warehouse to the L in, in England, who will in turn give it to the Chinese, who are the ones, for the most part, standing for delivery, but also the Indians, and also the Russians, and also the Brazilians, and also the Indonesians, and also every other buddy. I mean, everybody's standing for delivery. And people also seem to forget that for every ounce of physical, there's 400 paper claims. Well, as high as 400. I see 349, but then if you look at the debt clock, it changes. But let's say between, just most of those claims, six of those claims settle. Only 1/6 standing for delivery will still bust the market. Will still break just 1/6 of them standing for delivery. And then what about others coming on after? Because every time they drop the price like this, they come out of the woodwork and start buying. Like when it went into 49 territory, like there were buy orders all over the place down there. Went right back up again. So I had said, and I stick to it. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's going to go up crazily, and then it's going to have a correction like they always do, 10, 15, 20, 25%. And at 25%, if it does do 25% correction, everybody's going to be wailing and gnashing of teeth and, oh, it's over. And oh, see, this time it wasn't different. It's going to go back down and it's going to be a bear market for 20. And then it's going to go to levels that you will think are crazy. Because the math says, and these guys have been arguing with the math for successfully, by the way, I give them credit, for decades and decades, going on to a century and more, actually. parking lot confrontations. Drunk chicks in the parking lot fighting. Anyway, the silver before I was so rudely interrupted, the silver market, and you probably couldn't even hear that, is gonna break. It's gonna break. It's gonna break. It has to. Too many people want silver, and there isn't enough silver to give. Not at this price. And then all the way down the supply chain, it's been confirmed that, yeah, the Chinese were in fact buying the doré and taking it back to China and refining it there. So there's a lot of places in the supply chain where it just isn't there because the Chinese bought it up. And then the refiners who were taking and melting US coinage is against the law as far as I know. So I don't know about the stories, or if they are, they're in violation of US code. You're not supposed to destroy the currency. The only people that get to destroy the currency are is the treasury if they were gonna, remint or something. But I don't think smelters have the right to destroy US currency. In fact, I know for a fact the private sector wasn't allowed to even melt pennies back in the day when they were made out of copper. But defacing and melting US currency used to be a crime. I'm pretty sure it's still in the books. Anyhow, they were saying that many of the coin shops were like taking it in hand over fist, and then they were selling it to wholesalers, and the wholesalers were selling it to people that were melting it down. But if that's US coinage, um, and then they stopped taking it. Hmm. Because the story is because it takes time and energy to take it from 90 to 999. But it also might be because they figured out we could get in trouble for melting down US mint coinage. They don't like when that happens. Okay, many factors coming together for this thing. Now, I've been watching video of lines in Vietnam and lines. I have a son in Laos now, I think. I haven't heard from him for a while, so he was supposed to go through Chiang Mai and check out and see if there were lines or if, the stores, coin shops, and etc. dealers, the money changers had silver or not. But I haven't heard from him, and he's supposed to be in Laos doing the same. But from what I understand, in the East, yeah, they are clamoring for silver right now. Okay, it'll take about 2 weeks to get here. I also see that there may have been some bank failures. This is still Friday here. It's getting late, going on past 11. But bank failures, bank runs, smaller banks, because real estate, people are eating bad real estate deals because they have mortgages. The thing's financed for 100 million, and it refinances it, or the only taker out of bankrupt is 5 million. So it sells for 5% of what it was originally financed for, or 7%, or 15%. Uh, that's an extreme case, but there's plenty of cases where it's 10% or less, and the regional banks are eating those mortgages, and they can't because it's millions and they don't have it. Oh dear. Okay, so there's that, and then there's the fact that there isn't enough silver, and then there's the fact that Socrates is still counting on 100% chance of war, nuclear war, by the way, and it looks like, well, here's the deal. The peace deal, even if it's a sham and people are like, "Oh, it's just for show." Well, even if it's just for show, it's a show of peace instead of war because everybody before him, it was war. They weren't even pretending that there was gonna be peace. They were just doing war. Doesn't change the fact that it seems, It looks like Jab Daddy Miracle Ear doesn't care if they're under or over the age of 18. Plenty of evidence now. But we can't look at the evidence because even looking at it is so they've made seeing what they do a crime. That's pretty clever if you ask me. Oh dear. But see, it's no longer a mystery or a conspiracy theory, or you have to be looking the other way, whistling Dixie to be not understanding that, yeah, they're in government, they're in movies, they're in TV, they're on the news, they're playing sports, they're in music. They worship elder gods. They worship the God of this world. You were thinking the God of this world when they were singing, "You pray to the Lord, and He's going to make it happen." You were thinking she was singing about Christ. She was not singing about Christ. And if you talk to several of these music makers, they tell you that there is a God of this world who will contract with you and make you rich and famous, but you got to keep your end of the bargain. And I mean, these interviews are on tape. It's not crazy conspiracy theory. You can go dig them up. There's right here on the tubes. You can see Bob Dylan talking about things he probably wishes he wouldn't have been talking about. But anyway, the idea is that these people worship differently than you think. And there are those that struggle against them, as they say in Ephesians. And they figured out that the silver bullet really is the silver bullet, and it's silver. And now just standing for delivery is gonna break these people. And then what happens next? Well, do the thought exercise. What happens when it fails to deliver and HSBC or any one of the too big to fail banks fails? Then what happens? Well, then it sucks everybody down with them. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, that means that they're gonna have to and here's the other thing. It's like Rome, just because the system failed, just but Rome fell, Rome's still there, there's still Romans there. My sons descend from them. Okay, just because the thing Mache, just because the system just because they go bankrupt doesn't mean they don't go away. I mean, even Enron, yeah, Enron is no more, but the companies and the people in them, it's still they're still there. Same thing, Monsanto. They just don't call themselves Monsanto because everybody caught on to the name, and that gave them a bad rap, so they just bankrupted and then moved on and changed it to a different company. And then certain people can say, "Oh, we're not affiliated with Monsanto." No, you're affiliated with a new company in Bayer, and anyway, the idea is, the corporations, just because they declare bankruptcy and go away, doesn't mean they're gonna cease to exist necessarily. Although, you know, back in my day, there was a company called E.F. Hutton. E.F. Hutton still exists. It's just merged and formed and remerged to the point where I think it's now, if you follow the trail, it's Charles Schwab. It's when everything merged together because they just took over Ameritrade, and then before anyway, I used to know those histories. I don't anymore. But the point being is that they don't just go away. There's still gonna need to be banking. They're still gonna need to move money from A to B. You're still gonna have to move money from one state to another or from one country to another. And XRP and other cryptos that are designed to do that probably will be used to do that, and Bitcoin and so on. Now, I was listening to a guy who may or may not understand how quantum computing works and how encryption works. And if you spend enough time cracking a code, you eventually crack the code. And quantum computers now they call them quantum for a reason. Stuff that used to take what would calculate millions of years to do, we can be doing it in a month or less. Things that would take years and years for a supercomputer. The supercomputer on Maui, for example, take it years of calculations, can be done with quantum computing in weeks or days. They're eventually going to crack the codes. The encryption is there's no such thing as impervious encryption. There's really good encryption that will take millions of years, and now we have collapsed those time frames. So I don't think 30 years from now, or even 10 years from now, the encryption for Bitcoin is going to be safe. I just don't. And I have people, "Oh, I don't buy that." Okay. This is the guy, and I was wrong, by the way, because I thought, and I have my briefcase and I feel like getting it, that my radio station would fit and basically would be about the size of a briefcase. We'd be able to take all of that music and shrink it down into a medium because we're just starting to get CDs and so forth. And I started to understand what we could do with digital. And I was wrong because my radio station doesn't even, it's not even this big. It's a chip in here. Every song on at my radio station and every other radio station and every other pretty much every song ever recorded here on KTEL. Yeah, in MP4 format. Oh yeah, I predicted that, and I was the bunch of nerds in the room. They were kind of laughing at me, like, "Oh, you're so okay." Happened faster than we all thought, even, and I was wrong. It got way smaller than that, to the point where an iPod could have all the songs. Our radio station, I think, had a playlist, and I expanded it after some dork cut it down. I'm like, why would you want less music? Anyway, I think we had 3,200, 3,250, I think it was, total titles, which was huge because most libraries are like 1,400. And you play the same songs over and over and over again. Oh my God. So I know 80s and 90s songs. I quit radio in 1990. So those songs are stuck in my head. That 80s music, and that 80s beat. Anyway, the point is that the technology is coming. And many people can't see how the technology is going to affect things. And that's one of the technologies. The quantum computing is going to make encryption difficult. However, it's a war. It's a arms race. So as the quantum computing gets, but then you make better and better encryption. It takes longer and longer. But with what's been made now, which is what has been written for Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure they're going to crack that code. That's crazy talk, I know. But anyhow, there are many reasons to think that money will flow from crypto to gold and silver because a lot of the youngins have figured out, that's always been money all around the world, gold and silver. It's always been considered valuable. It's a worldwide, it's not just the United States, it's a worldwide market. The Londoners and New Yorkers tried to control the entire world, thinking that they were masters of the universe. The Russians have a saying, though, quantity has a quality all its own. There are more Indians alone than everybody in Europe and United States and Canada. There are more Chinese alone than everybody in the United States. And these people in 1980 were destitute. Their economies have come online since then. We have given them all manner of ways to pick up people from poverty and give them jobs, even just because they can speak 2 languages in phone rooms and so forth. But no, there are many, many that have gone from poverty to almost what we would consider middle class, lower middle class, with some purchasing power, with some discretionary income, with some money left over at the end of the month. And they save in silver. And the dowries are in silver, and the women wear silver at their weddings. And there's billions of these people when you count Indians and Chinese together. And there's only hundreds of millions of us. The math is not in the favor of the West. Period. If you can do the math, the price of silver must go up. The price of gold is going to continue to go up, which means the dollar is going down. The FRN is going down. What they're doing, and they've told you in no uncertain terms, Trump has told you that they're going to debase the currency because they're not going to pay their debts fairly. They're going to inflate them away. Again, my son's making $25 an hour. Wow, it used to take me 5 hours to make the money they were making in 1 hour. But then again, that $5 went a little bit further than it does today, for sure. And then if you take a look at the silver, 1 silver quarter now is worth like $12 and 60 something cents. Because, yeah, point 0.9 times 50 or 54 or whatever it is, divide by 4, because they're 90% silver. 1 quarter is $12 of purchasing power. Think what I mean, you can get a lot with $12. See, it's finally starting to become worth what it's right? So think about that. You can buy a couple of gallons of gas with a quarter. That's how it's supposed to be. We were supposed to have sound money. Our money had value. You traded it for stuff. Now they have you trading. Oh, and you can't get the slaves pissed off about it because they can't do the math to understand how badly they've been fucked. That's the ironic part about it. Anyhow, I can't believe that people are upset about a 6% pullback when this is the silver market, 25% pullbacks, which means from 50, $12, that would take us back to 30s. But I don't think it's going to correct 25%. I think it's going to correct 25% when 25% is going to be, you know, up there in the 70s or 80s or 90s. Then it takes a correction and then it takes off. Something like that. They never go straight up. Never. They can't go straight up. And having it pull back, it's still above 50. In the past, it was a blip. It was like intraday trading. Now it's been day after day, it's been above 50. And they tried to push it below 50 and they couldn't do it. So we're down to 50. Well, down to 52 when you get down to it. So down to 52 is bad news. Oh no, it's the end of the world. Get out. Oh dear. I would say if you can notice any difference in price in a coin shop or something like that, maybe you should go get some more. Maybe. And it could go further south from here. But naughty, naughty, shame on you if you waited this long to get into silver in the first place. I've been telling you about it since below 20. And many times I said and posted and wrote, anything below 20 is a gift, is a gift, is a total gift. Oh, look, yes, it turns out everything below 20 was absolutely a gift. Okay. It's not me, it's the math. And the fact that I can do math. And the fact that I listen to other guys that can do math and see a lot of videos on YouTube you watch, they'll even say, "Oh, we don't want to bore you with the math." Yes, you do. Tell me the math. Show me the math. Show me the fucking math that you did. I want to see the numbers. I want to see what numbers you did. I don't want to just hear your conclusions. I want to see how you came to those conclusions and what numbers you fucking used. Because the silver market really hard to do math in the silver market because the numbers are all fudged. And then we know the Chinese aren't reporting. And then there's another guy that did the math, and clearly the Chinese have bare ass minimum 30,000 tons of gold. Just doing the math. And probably closer to 40,000 tons. and 38 being a good guess. 38, and they're saying, "Oh, no, we got, like, oh, 2,000 tons or maybe 3,000, I don't know." "We're not telling you, Guaylo. We have some coal." We say, "Oh, I don't know, 2,000?" Anyway, the idea that they only have 2,000 tons or 2,500 tons when you can figure out their mine production and you can see what they were buying and you can kind of sort of piece together some of the stories about what they were doing in Africa and so forth. They got a whole fuck ton more than 2,000 tons of gold. And it looks like they understand the concept. The guys that make stuff are the guys that win wars every time. The reason why we won is because we were the country that was making stuff. We were the manufacturers at the time, back there in World War II. So we just turned our manufacturing into weapons of war. Well, we just had a proxy war between NATO, basically, of which US is a member, and Russia beat them. Ukraine did not win that war. And what happened? Well, they just kicked out more ammo and weapons and munitions. And then United States Corporation being full of genius pedophiles, uh, many of the weapons of war and many of the magnets and all kind of we depend on our enemies to supply us with the materials. So the Chinese can make it so that we can't make weapons of war. And then for a little while there, these idiots were having them manufacture our chips because they were the lowest bidders. But they wouldn't put a back door in those chips or anything, would they? Those naughty Chinese. I mean, come on, they wouldn't spy on us. They wouldn't or they wouldn't use make it so that they could tell those chips to just not work all of a sudden. Or maybe target or maybe oh my god. Anyway, and because the supply lines were so anyway, that has been fixed from what I understand, quietly. Because that story came out and then they buried and anyway, it's been a couple of years, but the problem was that they didn't even know where all the chips were. They didn't have a good inventory of what chips went where. Because, guidance systems on military vessels. Anyway, the idea is there's been a war going on. It's always been like this. It's spy versus spy. And then sometimes it gets a little more overt, and I can't talk about that here on the tubes. But you guys were expecting one thing, and it turned out to be another because the only way you can think about war is bullets and bombs, and they can think about war in many other more creative methods. And they could get a whole bunch of people to be ridiculous and off themselves without them even having to land a ship on the shore. Anyway, we're going no place but up from here, only because they don't have the metal, guys. They don't have it. And if you wanna know what comes next, like I said, go back and watch videos. We've been telling you what comes next. The Austrians told you what comes and we're gonna have this market is gonna continue because it's measured in the FRN, which they're devaluing. So when measured in FRNs, yeah, the market's going up, crack up, boom. But the value of the currency is going down. And so the wealthy that own those stocks and can sell them, they have access to the money first, and then they can use and spend the money in the market and or into the oh yeah, the market, buying goods and services before everybody else. And then they've used those inflated dollars to buy goods and services. And then there's too many goods, too much money, and not enough goods and services. And the value of the dollar continues to plummet. And pretty soon they don't want $10 for a rack of hamburger. They want $33 for a rack of hamburger because each one of those dollars is worth less. The price of hamburger is not going up. Hamburger did not become more valuable. It's the same cow, it's the same pasture, it's the same grass. The dollar is going down in value and it's going to zero because it always goes to zero every fucking time. There's never been a time when it didn't go to zero. And right now, people who are very clever, I will give them credit for being very, very clever. They're smarter than I am. They can do better math than me, I'll bet. but they're doing battle against gold and silver, and fiat currency versus gold and silver. Gold and silver have a 100% track record of leaving fiat currencies in the dustbin valued at zero. They've never lost and never will lose because paper is not more valuable than metal. And there is no trust. The paper would be more valuable than metal, except for the minor detail that paper cannot hold the iron, and men do not keep their word. So that paper goes, those promises are not kept. And the price of the paper always, every single time, not never, never has not, never in the history of ever, in the history since we've been keeping records, has there ever been a time when fiat beats gold and silver. And this time is not different. So when you guys are saying, "Oh, it's overbought and it's gonna go back," no, 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 no. You don't understand where we are in the game. Where we are in the game is the gladiators have entered the arena. One is made of paper and the other two are made of silver and gold. And the silver and gold are going to beat the paper. It's mathematically certain. This is not conspiracy theory. This is not wild ass guessing. This is what has happened every single time throughout history, for one thing. And then there's the biblical portion, the spiritual end of it, where the whole thing has been a fraud and the fraud is going to be revealed. And when the fraud is revealed, the true price will be more than $50 an ounce for silver, which nominally, if you go back in time with that $50 only bought $12 would have stopped. $50 in today's money only buys $12 in 1980 money. So silver needs to go up quite a bit from where it is now because inflation adjusted, it is nowhere near where it needs to be. And it's going there. And then it's like people don't want to admit, oh, somebody went and got hamburgers and brought it home. I can smell it. That is In-N-Out Burger. Or maybe it's Whataburger. But anyway, that's not McDonald's. Wafting through the window, that's not fair. Good thing I'm full. Anyway, the idea is it's got a long way to go because $12 is nothing. $50 is nothing. It needs to go to 200 just to get back even, right? It needs to go at least 4 times. That's only 48. So 4.25 times more. So 4.25 times more from here is 200 and some more. And we only had 50. And guys trying to say it's overbought and it's going to go back down. Okay. It might go back down. It's the silver market. It's volatile. Yeah. It goes up, it goes down. But we have one issue that's different this time. Everybody's standing for delivery. It's not a joke. It's not rumor anymore. It's not Wall Street silver guys. It's countries standing for delivery. It's large corporations with huge orders standing for delivery. It's not coin shops. It's 1,000-ounce bars. We want them in our hand. We will pay you extra to give you for you to give them to us now. That's spot. That's the backwardation. And see, here's the thing, folks. If they have to explain to you what backwardation is, you might not want to be in this market. That's a term you should know. And here, I'll give you another term you should know. See, they're teaching the muggles words. I always know what's coming when they start teaching the muggles words. So the muggles are learning the word backwardation. Ooh, it's multisyllabic. Kind of like asymptomatic. So anyway, backwardation. You're learning what that means. Okay, so here's another term, God candle. Oh, you're going to see God candles. You're going to see crazy God. They're going to be red and they're going to be green, but they're going to be God candles all over the fucking place. Mining stocks, financial stocks, The financial stocks will probably get the red ones, and the mining stocks will get the green ones. And there is going to be God candles galore coming up here shortly, just in time for Christmas. Plenty of fun stuff coming. Like they're only just getting started, and know their holidays. The big one is coming up. They have a high holy holiday coming up on the 31st. And then they have another high holy holiday coming up like every month, once a month for the next 3 months. In November, and then you have what's going on in Christmas obviously in December. But while you guys are having a fun time partying and dressing up and being stupid and having fun, I enjoy a good Halloween party. Them guys that's not what they're doing. It's a blood cult. They demand blood sacrifice, and that's one of their holidays. And we're completely oblivious. Anyway, the point being is all of this is aimed at making it so that their high holy holiday isn't so bloody anymore. And if you want peace, see, because they rejoice in this legal system. Oh, that was the piece of Pookie. Can you bring me this candle? The candle, the Michael candle. The Michael candle.
Hold on. I'm gonna pause this.
Yes, you do. Okay, so let me just show you this. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And on this channel, I make a whole video about this. And I'm just going to go with Lady Justice.
This one?
No, not that one.
That's the one you said.
No, the other one right next to it. Yes, the Michael candle.
It's not Michael.
Yes, it is. That's Michael right there. Okay, and we just picked this one. I mean, anyone is good. Oh, can you see? Lady Justice. There are the scales up and the sword down. That is the exact opposite of justice. They rejoice when you go under the Lady of Justice like this because she's blindfolded. Therefore, her justice is lacking. She cannot make judgment when blind. The scales are up and the sword is down. There will be no justice if the sword is down. She wears the shroud of death. And she stands upon books of law, if you look at her feet. If she's not respecting of them, she's standing upon them. This is Michael. Scales are down. Sword is up. If you are found wanting, that sword will come down upon your head. And apparently this demon has been found wanting, and the sword is about to come down on his head because justice is being served. He's not wearing a shroud, he's not blind, his sword is up, and the scales are down, thus symbolizing justice. This is Michael. This is the whore of Babylon. And like I said, they rejoice when rapers go free. And when men who are trying to feed their family, or peaceful men who are simply growing flowers, are subjected to this justice system. There are men to this day who sit in jails, bonded, for the crime of growing plants. Justice is coming. And oddly enough, it comes from silver. And it didn't come from the American. There's only 300 odd million of us. And out of those, there's like a few million that even know anything about silver. The average muggle, not a clue. And if you try to tell them, they'll look at you like you're crazy. Paper, not silver. They'd rather have a chocolate bar than a silver bar. Mark Dice proved it. Okay, I quit. More than enough. Go check out Kutaramon's House of Math, though. Kutaramon's House of Math is getting cool. Go check out the Trivium page. Check out the Logic page. You can sign up for free classes. Free classes when it comes to all kind of stuff there. Grammar and logic and reasoning. And anyway, there's all kind of stuff. I have links to free college education. If you're so inclined, or perhaps you're... And see, this is the thing. You can be homeschooling and get that same information that these other guys are going into debt for. And soon, of the 3 pieces of paper, the high school diploma, the GED, or the 5-star passport, which would you rather have your son or daughter have? They want your child, they want your kids to get a diploma or a GED, and then maybe even go join the military. But your son or daughter probably doesn't want to become part of United States corporations military. Just saying. Okay, I quit. Look how short this one. Normally I do long form and I go on for hours, but not tonight. It's Friday. It's exciting. Next week, very excited. Week after that, more exciting than that. And then we're already in freaking November. Halloween going by. It's gonna be nuts. Like, it's gonna be nutsity, nuts. Because the contagion is gonna finally hit. Because right now, you can go, like I said, any coin shop. You can go any coin shop here in Phoenix, and they got silver on the wide. They probably got too much. They've been buying too much. But the one shop was saying, okay, it's kind of evened out now, where it's like as much as they buy is as much as they sell. So about half the people are wising up. But pretty soon, all the people will wise up, and then there won't be any silver to buy. Unobtainium! It's coming. We're here. Like I said, at the end of the story, the wolf shows up. Okay, Crime Stoppers, educate self. There are videos galore. Maybe I'll put some below here, or maybe I'll put them in the comments or something, of various people having, some are more prescient than others. But the ones that are cracking me up are the ones that are saying that they don't know what's coming. We've been telling you what's coming. In fact, some of you guys say, we don't know what's happening next. You were telling us what you thought would happen next a while ago, years ago, if you recall. Somewhere between Bill Holter and who's Edgar Casey's new body, David Wilcock. Somewhere between Bill Holter and that guy lies the truth. Galactic Federation, yeah, that was complete horse hockey. They're starting to reveal the fact, and through very odd sources, that what you see up there, and this is a guy that now sun gazes pretty much every day, and it's been so lovely here in Arizona. Oh my gosh. It's just been beautiful weather, perfect weather. Not too hot, not too cold, cools down at night. Anyway, they've lied to us about every freaking thing, and up is down, everything. They lied about everything. They lied about where we are. They lied about the nature of everything. So now you have to question everything. So anyway, Crime Stoppers, take it easy, educate yourself, The math informs, and informed people are very hard to fool. So maybe a little bit of math, because the math informs. But either way, educate self, educate others. E pluribus unum. And I'll talk to you soon, Crime Stoppers, probably on Sunday. And if you want to see me speak a little more freely, you can mosey on over to Crouton Ramon's Facebook page, and you'll see videos there. Because believe it or not, Zuckerberg lets you say a certain thing. He lets us slaves say certain things that we can't say here on the YouTubes because of the free speech and stuff. Because us Americans are so free. Anyway, educate self, educate others. I'll talk to you soon. E pluribus unum.